Deal Real, now you've mentioned that, that's actually an important thing. You know, the original shop on, was it Knoll Street?
I don't
I
remember
think,
the
I'm pretty
street.
sure it was Knoll Street,
I don't
in
remember.
the West End anyway. Like, and that was a hub where me and Harry used to go there. Like, you know, Shorty Blitz was in there at the time, Tony Vegas, Pete Bond, Sarah Love was in there at one point. Harry even worked in there a couple of days, and that was where that's where I met you for the
Mm.
first time. And I remember, you know, someone introduced me and Harry to you, and they're like, "Oh yeah, these guys have just started making music," and you're just like, "I wish you the best with it." You know what I mean? You kind of just cool, and you know, back then we were like, anyone that had a record out, we were like, "You're superstars. You have records out on these shelves in this shop that we love," you know. But that's where, you know, we really kind of connected with people and met just what was to us the scene at the time. It was obviously wider than just the people that were in that shop, but yeah. So from there, um, it was, I think it was Pete from Deal Real that first uh, let Harry use a sampler. So it's in the basement, and he made a demo beat then, but then he took it back to his, and we made a track with Essa, and that's the first actual song I ever made. It was called Some MCs. And to be honest, at that point, Essa was already, it went by Young Gun at the time, already fucking sick. And I was still kind of learning. So when I listen back to that track, it's like I kind of had a style and flow, but I wasn't on the level to what he was doing. So that's things like that really made me want to step my game up. And then, yeah, you know, I kept writing. Harry kept making beats. And I think Harry, he was a prodigy, man. He was just good straight away with the beats as well as the DJing. But for me, it took a while to really get to a point where I thought I was good enough. Then when we got to the age of 18, that's when we had our first single out with Kid Fury. It was called Illyrical Behavior. And at that point, I thought, shit,
Cracked
I've
it.
got a record out. Yeah, I thought I had it made. And then it was not long after that, off the back of that, DJ Vadim heard that thing and he wanted to get me and Harry on Jazz Fudge Records. So I got to shout DJ Vadim because he's the first guy who was established and had a label that actually. Well, no, I shout out Dominic who actually put out our first record because he's the guy that actually put his money where his mouth is and put our record out. But Vadim, on the strength of that, he wanted to work with us. Me and Harry didn't have the organization to get it together, you know. And also, I'm kind of glad in a way that we didn't because um, well, I am and I'm not. It would have been cool to have that release, but I feel like I still had a lot of growing to do as an artist. And I feel like if I'd have put a project out then, it wouldn't have been what it should have been. Um, but it took us about 5 years from that point to finish our album that we did, like bring it back to basics. But in that time, like we went on tour with For Life Cypher to do, you know, they were doing the Millennium Metaphors tour. And that was my first experience of, you know, being in a fucking tour bus and going to another city to do a gig. And it was only like,
And witnessing levels.
of course, I mean, those guys were like, they had the stage presence, the freestyle ability. They fucking killed it. So that was massively inspirational. Um, and at the time, it was my first taste of like what it was like to tour. So to me, I was like, man, I'm doing this shit. I'm actually, and they were super cool because they didn't know. I think we'd met them before, but they got these two random spotty teenagers getting in their tour bus. You know what I mean? And they were just super cool and like, you know, we had good conversations with them. Learned a whole lot from that experience. So much love to Napa, Cy Philly, Life MC, legendary group.